don't feel like it, but I don't think that'll ever come.
Do you feel like reality TV has helped or hindered your music career?
That's always a big question. I get that every time.
Why the hell so many people are trying to tell me to slow down? Seems like motherfuckers should be shutting the hell up and enjoying the show.
Amina Buddafly. Now, I'm gonna do something I normally don't do. Now, everybody has that's a singer has to sing on my show. But
really?
I want you to open us. Yes, I want you to open us up with a little acapella or something from your new music. What you got for us?
I think I have to do Raw, which is a song that is my most recent single, and it's actually with my sister, so it's with my group Black Butterfly. People always ask me every day where they can find the song because it's not under Amina, it's under Black Butterfly, but it goes like I'm gonna just do a little bit of the like the hook. Okay. So it's a very meaningful lyric. So listen. And all the messages have taught me the way to go. Here's to the purest me until the end. No, I'm not perfect, I am blind. And I don't want to play pretend. Cause the most beautiful is raw. It's called Raw. The most beautiful is raw.
I love it. You have a very soulful voice. It's more so neo soul. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I like that. I like that, categorization or whatever the word is. I like that because I'm influenced by that a lot, that type of music. So.
Okay, I heard some Erykah Badu. I heard a little Jill Scott in your voice. Yeah. But I also heard your own uniqueness.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. That's
so,
a good thing.
No, that's a great thing. So I wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors in music. Now, I want to start from the beginning. No one knows anything about you unless you put it out. You stay out of the mess. You do.
Out of the mess? Oh,
yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
because I don't really like it. I kind of was thrown into it when I got onto the show, Love and Hip Hop. And it was never really my thing. But, with going on a reality show, it just comes with it.
Okay.
It's going to be some mess, so I had to deal with it. But my life at the time literally was really messy. So I guess it did make sense to to go on a show because we did have a crazy story that ended up being entertainment for a lot of people, but it was my real life. And it just happened to be that way at the time of my life. But normally I'm really not about that life.
Okay.
No,
well, that's why I want you here, because I want people to because a lot of times reality TV paints people in a way that they're definitely not. I've talking to so many ex-reality stars, and they've said the producers have set up so many things and, made scenes look like you said something and you really didn't say that. And, it was just, because of course they have to sell. But I do want to talk about, I want to start with before you moved to the United States. Like, you moved to the United States when you were 14.
No, I was actually 19.
Okay.
And I kind of, the plan was me and my sisters, we just wanted to come to America and like kind of check out the scene and see what it's about. Okay. We didn't really plan on moving. So we first came to America and to New York. And it was just the three of us, me and my sisters, and I was very young, and we were just we just came for like a little trip. So we didn't stay the first time. We kept going back and forth, but we loved it so much that we kept coming back. And, over the course of 2 years, we literally were back and forth in the beginning. And then finally, once we did get signed to a record label, that's when we made the move. And we were like, okay, we're just going to stay. We're going to get a work permit. We got working visas, and we had a record deal. So it was easy. And then we just ended up staying. And ever since then, I've never moved back, never gone back to Germany.
Do you miss Germany?
I do sometimes, but more so my family than the place. I was never happy in Germany, even growing up. I never felt home. So I really just miss my parents and my sisters and everybody. I'm the only one that actually stayed in America, because it was me and my sisters when we first moved out here. But yeah, they both moved back, and I'm the one that stayed.
Well, I don't blame you, because I've lived in Germany and it's boring. It's boring. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is
the first one to say that. Everybody else is always like,
No.
Why don't you go back over there?
No.
I'm like, no,
It is so boring, and everything closes
thank
at
you.
10.
Oh my God.
Everything closes at 10. So if you want a burger after 10, you're going to have food in your refrigerator. It's funny. And I went back. See, I used to live in Kaiserslautern, and I lived in Ramstein.
Oh
I'm a military brat.
Sprichst du Deutsch?
I only remember my numbers, but I did learn, but I understand a little bit, but it was so, I think I left there when I was like 13.
And the thing is, you don't really have to learn because everybody kind of speak English. Or
they
like,
do. But it was a requirement. When we went to American schools, we had to learn German. So, and the German class was intense. It was intense.
It's hard, right?
But I can still say, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can. I've never told anybody that. So, yes.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's cool. I didn't know you were
yeah, I was a military brat, and then I went back to, of course, to visit a few times, and nothing has changed. It is the exact same.
I like to go. I'm excited when I go once a year to see my family, but after like a week or two, I'm like, I need to leave. No, this is not. I could not imagine moving back home.
Oh, but let me ask you something. I want to start too. So you're 19 years old. You're in the United States. You're chasing a singing career. Were you in New York City at the time?
Yep, that was the first place we went to.
Oh my God, the jungle, the concrete jungle.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, did you go through anything that was just like traumatizing to the point where you just was like, I want to go back to Germany? Because I couldn't imagine 19 years old in New York.
There was one point where me and my sisters, I think it was our third trip, and we, in the beginning, so we didn't really have money or anything, so we would always stay with other people that we just met. We were literally so naive, and we're so lucky that nothing ever happened to us. But the good thing was we were always together, so, it wasn't just me. I was with my sisters. And we would always stay with people, but then we had a big falling out one time with somebody who lived in Jersey City. He kicked us out. We were on the street. We did not have money, not even to get to the airport. We were with our suitcases on the street, literally for at least a day, at least 24 hours, and not knowing where to go. Like, we didn't have cell phones at the time. It was 2002. Like, everybody had pagers and stuff, but we were so we were just stranded. We were like, what we gonna do? And from there, we called somebody that we had met like the week before at some club who was from Philly, who wanted to work with us. And he came and drove up from Philly and picked us up. And that's how our Philly, that started. We spent a lot of time there recording. He then introduced us to some other people, some recording studios. And then that was one of the moments we were like, we gotta go home, but how are we gonna do this without money? We don't have flights. And our parents never knew none of that stuff. So we literally, it was just the three of us. And that's what kind of bonded me. Like, me and my sisters, our bond became so strong because we went through so much crazy stuff in the first few years. Early 2000s. Yeah, it was a lot, but
I couldn't imagine letting my children go so far into New York City. I bet you guys grew up real fast, didn't you? You grew up. You had to grow up fast.
Oh my God. Yes, for sure. But the thing is, in the beginning, my English was like really bad. So me and my twin, so we were the younger ones, and then we have Sophie, our older sister. She was the one that was like communicating with everybody. Her English was better at the time. And we were really shy and just like, too nice for, like, we didn't understand that, like, cause we grew up like being nice was so normal to us. But a lot of times people ran over us, when you're too nice, sometimes you get taken advantage of. And things like that happened a lot with us, but we learned. We learned.
I don't know how your mom did it. Kudos to her. Cause I would have been like, all three of y'all? Oh no, somebody got to stay.
We would be like literally not talk to her for 2 weeks, like, because we're not she let us just be free. She trusted us. She knew that we're smart enough to not get into anything crazy. But again, New York was a whole different something could have easily happened, and I'm just to this day like, wow, how did we were literally we would stay with people that we just met the other night and like didn't know.
Well, I mean, that's called survival too.
Yeah.
That's called
and
survival.
we would be out, like, at the time nobody was checking ID. We were at the clubs every night. I just remember like taking the PATH train all the time from New Jersey to New York, and then ended up staying in Brooklyn with somebody else, taking the subway. So we got to know the dirty, the real New York.
Oh my God. I've been to New York a couple times. I'm like, I don't see how people do it. I think the best time
Man.
I've ever enjoyed New York was during the pandemic. It was closed down.
Really?
And I actually got to see what Times Square looked like with the nobody outside. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I haven't been there since.
Oh, okay. You ain't
before
missing
pandemic.
nothing. Everything's still closed down. So
Mm.
has it been like a real struggle? I know you wrote a book, but I'd like to talk about your music because like
Okay.
a lot of people know you for your music. That's
Yeah.
primarily what Love and Hip Hop. Of course, you have to have a music background to be a part
Right.
of the show. But I mean, was it always a struggle to get your music off the ground?
It seemed like it wasn't at first when we were signed, but things have just changed so much. So now, I mean, 15 years ago when we kind of started out, we didn't have Instagram or none of that stuff. So it was like you had to get a record deal. That was like the way to go. That's the only way that you can get your music out, is to try to get signed. And we did end up getting signed. We were with Def Jam, 2005, we got signed. Same year as Rihanna, same year as Neo, Chris Brown. All of them were starting out. Nobody knew who they were. And we were on tour. We went on tour. So many amazing experiences we had. But we just never had the big break as a group. So we never became like this big superstar group that we thought we were going to be. But it was just still, I look at it, like looking back now, I look at it as like such a great journey of mine, and I just learned so much, and that made me who I am now. And it was like my school, it made me better, like doing all these shows. And then later I became a singer in a nightclub in New York. There was another part of it where I learned a lot, and I constantly improved and evolved as an artist, and I'm super proud of that. And the fact that I never stopped. And now I have children. Now I live in California. I'm a little bit older, but I'm still pursuing it. That to me is like so, it's such a positive thing. And it's so empowering for myself to look back on that and be like, wow, I'm still here, still doing it, still loving it, still having fun doing it. And yeah, of course, there are times I'm like, damn, do I really still want to do this? I'm still like, struggling to put budgets together because I'm independent. I don't have big label money, so it's like I got to do everything on my own. Being independent is good and bad. For me, it's the great thing about it is I'm free. I can do whatever I want. But the bad thing is that nobody supports you or backs you up. You don't have, the machine behind you. But I still love my freedom as an artist, and I'm gonna continue doing it until one day I don't feel like it. But I don't think that'll ever come.
Do you feel like reality TV has helped or hindered your music career?
That's always a big question. I get that every time. I think both, because it depends on how you look at it. Like literally, like a lot of people say you ruined everything. Nobody's going to take you serious. Maybe, but the people that don't want to take you serious, because at the end of the day, I believe when you're great, you're great. When you're talented, you're talented. When it doesn't matter where it comes from or where you like. It still shines through. It may be harder for me, and that is part of the reason I believe it's been harder for me to kind of reach that success, that people always talk about, and as in record sales, charting, and all that stuff. I think it's harder because I went on that show, but before the show, it still was hard too. Like, I mean, my fan base grew so much via being on television. I have a lot more streams, a lot more people listening to my music because I was on television.
Okay.
Before Love and Hip Hop, I put out my first solo project, and nobody was checking for it. Nobody cared. Nobody knew. Like, I was a nobody. Like, I was just doing it for myself. I felt like, so when the opportunity came, I was like, okay, this means exposure. Finally, people are going to hear me. And they did, even though it was a lot overshadowed by the craziness. They still did. And to this day, every time somebody, recognizes me or says like, oh, I know you're from Love and Hip Hop. Oh my God. They always mention the fact that they love my talent. They love my music. And so it's like, that's the good part that I try to focus on. Because I could be like, oh, damn. I could be feeling like those people that say nobody's going to take me serious. But I try to focus on the good which is that I have a bigger audience now, and I was able to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own if it wasn't for Love and Hip Hop. So I try to just focus on the good, but it is good and bad. Depends on.
Let's put the wine down for a second, because at times like this, we need to take a shot of the olive leaf extract, because the olive leaf boosts our immune system and it has been known to reverse high blood pressure, lupus, diabetes, and certain cancers. Check them out at myoliveleaf.biz to learn more and to order, or simply click the link below in the description box. Now back to the wine. AdamandEve.com. I'm talking toys, bondage, lingerie, and so much more. Plus, they have 24/7 customer service, so you can order at 3 a.m. if you ain't coming, if you get me, okay? And if something isn't working out, you can send it back within 90 days, no hassle. And if that's not enough, you can also take pleasure in knowing that 20% of their profits goes to help fight the spread of HIV around the world. So go on ahead and log on to AdamandEve.com. Use the code Tasha for 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions apply now, but hurry up and visit AdamandEve.com so they can make you come.
See, I enjoy oral sex, but to be honest, some of my experiences have been not pleasing due to lack of proper vaginal hygiene. I went down on this chick once, and the yoni was so good and fresh. It took me on like a whole nother level of just pleasure. So at that moment, I had to stop and ask, what are you using? And she told me, Embrace Pangea Feminine Wash.
We all know that a fresh yoni brings on a whole new level of confidence, so visit EmbracePangea.com, and of course, I got my winos covered for a discount, so use the coupon code TASHAK for 10% off your first order. Now, interesting enough, because my next question was going to be about Peter. Do you feel like your relationship with Peter was beneficial to your music career? Because I know you guys met on some music.
We did meet via music, yeah. But I mean, it was a relationship. It really was never that much about the music. Like, I know the way I came and like was introduced to the world was he was my manager and we were just working together. That I can now say was a little bit. It was a little bit storyline. You know what I'm saying? Because me and Peter, we definitely connected on some music stuff. He always wanted to help me in the beginning when we met. He always said he wanted to help me, but it started out more as a friendship than a business relationship. So it was never like I'm his artist and then we start messing around. That looked like it, but it wasn't what it was. It was like we were friends, we fell in love. That boom. And then he was trying to help me with my music. But of course, they needed to kind of somehow make it into a story, you know? So, yeah, I mean, to me, I think he's the reason why I ended up on the show. And honestly, I thank him for it, even to this day. I know that some people, like even Tara, I hate to bring her up. I don't even want to talk about this, but she always says that she would have, if she would have known all those things, she, you know, would have never done the show. I, on the other hand, I would have done it the same way. You know, I don't really have any regrets because I still, like I said, there are still so many things that came out of the situation that I have to say thank you. Thanks, Peter, for bringing me on the show, even though you made a fool out of me. I really don't care what people think of my personality because they don't know me. So I'm going to run with the, you know, what I can get out of it. I'm going to just make the best out of it.
But I mean, you wrote a book called The Other Woman.
I did.
That was actually pretty smart. I gotta tell you, like, are you doing a podcast about this? Are you doing a podcast about this?
No, I'm not. You know, I'm not that much of a talker. Like, I do talk a lot.
I can't tell.
No, I really don't like talking that much.
I cannot tell. Like, because here's my thing. Like, when you were introduced on the show, I do know the storylines are hyped up a lot, are exaggerated.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. I mean, we've been watching Jerry Springer for years. Okay, we know. But I guess when you were introduced, the way it was introduced, it was like, oh, because you was like, I miss Panky. I think that's what I was like, oh, did you?
And they told me say that, by the way.
They did? Because I'm
Oh
like,
my
the
God,
way you are
I
now,
don't
and
think I'll ever go back to that show.
yeah, I've seen you in interviews, and the way you were in the show is very different from how you are in interviews. And so when you introduced yourself as Miss Panky, and it was kind of like you didn't care about, his other situation and stuff. Was this all, first of all, was the relationship with you and Peter real, and was he still with Tara at the time?
Yes,
Did you?
yes, and yes. But I wasn't so clear of that, and I didn't
Okay.
care at the time, stupidly. I have to
Okay.
say now,
Because I'm going
I
to say,
was
because he
just,
wasn't spending the night with you at the time, was he?
he was all the time, every night.
That's impossible to me. Like,
So that's why I'm
how
like,
women
okay,
can be
well,
like,
how
that's
can you
my man, and he,
how can you possibly have another relationship when you're always with me? Like,
Okay.
that can't. So I believed him. Yeah, I did
did.
believe in the beginning that when, how men are in relationships and they're like, yeah, we're not really like that. We about to, I just got to figure out how to leave because of the kids, blah, blah, blah. Like so many women go through that. And now I'm seeing it even more and more because I get so many messages about, yeah, my boyfriend tells me this and I'm in a similar situation. And how did you get out of it? Like I get so many messages from women that are telling me they are going through the same thing. And they want my help now. I'm like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're writing a book, I think it'll, and I'm giving you, advice that you can definitely monetize on, which is making a podcast called The Other Woman. I don't think that lane has been covered yet. And so a lot of people, you'll be surprised at how many people will want to hear honest, raw advice. And so, because I think honestly, it's not I guess, an ideal place that society will accept you from. But at the end of the day, I think you'll have more support than you probably realize because a lot of women are in the same shoes. Now, I do have to ask too, because the way Peter had, the way he be having women, is your baby father dick that good? Like, cause
oh my God,
the way he had, y'all, I was just like, what is it about Peter? Was it? I mean,
it was part of it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was part of it, but it wasn't the reason why I was stuck on him. I really was in love. I loved him like no more than anybody.
But were you in love with the dick though? You know what I'm saying?
With him as a person.
What did you love about him?
Man, it's hard. It's hard. It's gonna be hard for anybody to understand that don't know.
Okay.
But
I mean, I'm not throwing shade. People, when people connect, they connect. So
yeah, I said this so many times. Like any woman that has their doubts or their thoughts about him negative, I dare them to spend like a few hours with him, and they're gonna change their mind.
So he's a charmer.
Oh yeah, that too, and fun, and a great person. Not a great husband or boyfriend, but great person. Good person, fun person. He makes you kind of love life. That's what I took away from that relationship, and that's why another thing I'm looking back on it in a positive light because I took from that. Like I learned how to enjoy life partially through him. Like he taught me how to have fun and I continued that on even after we separated, and I moved on and I moved to California, and now these moments that I have, and of course he gave me my kids that bring a lot of joy to my life. But besides that, I just learned how to just enjoy life and live life. And I have to give him a lot of credit for that, teaching me that, because I didn't know that before. I was always like living for the future, thinking like, oh, I'm going to be happy when such and such. He taught me like live now.
I was going to say, he kind of strikes me as a live in the moment, risk it all.
He does,
guy.
which is not always the best. Yeah, especially when
he sees something, he's like, you know what, this is life now. You don't know what's going to happen after. But a lot of times that shit carries into the future, and it definitely carries into children. But how do you feel? Because you said before the show, like he hasn't seen him in a year. Like you're practically a single mom.
Not a year actually, but this year he hasn't seen him in 2021.
He hasn't seen him this year.
Not yet.
Are you a single mom though?
Yeah, I am. I totally am. I've been one since the beginning. Because even when I had my first and I was still living with him, he was never there. He was never around like that. So
Do
I've been a
you
single mom from the beginning.
now, not to ask you, and please don't take this wrong, please, because I think children are absolute blessings. When you look back, I know you said some positive things about your relationship, but when you look back at the situation, do you feel like maybe you would have done things a little different as far as like how you guys went about, you know?
I mean, now with that experience, I learned I would never do that again. You know,
Okay.
I would never continue dealing with someone where I'm not sure of certain things. I'm 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 so different now, even when it comes to dating. Like I'm so much more about communication, asking questions, talking about things, knowing the intentions from both parties. I'm so different now because I made those mistakes in the past. And yeah, it was a mistake that I didn't ask Peter those questions. But my thing was back then, I never saw myself, I never saw us really getting that serious until then all of a sudden I fell in love. And then, you know, what happens sometimes to us women when we fall in love, then nothing else matters. It's just about, it was just about him now. Now I'm different. And another positive thing I take away from that, I learned that I'm so different now. My standards are higher. I don't allow anything close to what I allowed with him. And I wouldn't ever again. And that's because I did it with
You
him.
you guys still like, even though when you see each other, y'all still have sex?
Oh,
I mean,
hell
a lot
no.
of baby mamas still tap their baby daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I was always open about that, even on the show, even after I had left New York. It took me about a year and a half to
Okay.
stop doing that. But
Okay.
it's been 5 years now, so no.
Whoa, it doesn't
Last
seem
time we
like it's
touched each
been
other
that
is
long.
5 years, yeah. It's been, man, I can't even remember that. It's
Now,
so long ago
what
now.
can women expect from like the other woman? Like, what is your actual perspective?
The book?
Yeah, your book.
It's just me sharing my story out of my perspective because I felt misunderstood so much on the show. I felt misunderstood. People had their own idea of who I was, and it wasn't me. That's why I also wrote a song called The Real Me, because I always had to remind myself of the real me and who I really am. I'm not what they say I am. I'm
Because
not
you
who
were
they say.
painted out as a home wrecker, like, and
Right. I'm
someone who
not
had
that.
no.
I'm not this,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not all these things that people say I am. And so I felt like writing the book, and it started just for my own self therapy. It really was me journaling, and it ended up, then I ended up feeling the need to share, and I'm so glad I did, even though not enough people know about it. But it's just meant to help women that go through the same thing. And every time, again, I get asked every day, how did you get out of it? I always tell them, go read The Other Woman, because it ends me like finally really like, you know, cutting it and leaving and moving across the country. That's how the book ends. A new
So you
beginning.
broke off, and a lot of people don't realize them long distance relationships will kill a relationship.
Oh yeah, but I broke up like with the intention. That's it. We're not gonna be together. You know, I just need distance to be able to move on, because I was literally stuck and addicted to him, and the distance,
Damn, he had you
definitely
addicted,
helped me.
child.
It was like an instinct of mine. I need to take myself out of this, and it was the right thing to do. Now I know it was, even though it was still hard. I was like all the way across the country, and it still took me almost 2 years, and therapy and all kinds of stuff, like just for me
That's
to.
good. You did therapy.
Yeah, I
Are you
did all of it.
dating?
Yeah, I am totally dating, but it's hard in LA. I have to say, it's
What's
not.
wrong with the LA man, child? What's wrong? Tell us.
Man, this just
Tell us now.
something
What's the
else.
worst date you've been on? What happened? What
And
happened?
the pandemic, and then the pandemic.
Okay,
happened.
okay, yeah, because I did recently just, you know, I go to LA quite often, and I was just like, it's closed, you know? Atlanta is so open.
Yeah, we're starting to get up back open,
Yes. But girl, what was the worst date you've been on since you've been separated?
You know, I don't really do dates that much. I've dated, I would say, a few guys since, like, in the past couple of years, like, but I don't like to go on different dates all the time. And you know, unless I like you, I won't go and hang out with you, because I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I have children. It's so hard now to date with children. It's another thing I learned with children. It's like, how do women, like, single mom? I don't even have my mom here or parents that help me. So every time I go out, I have to get a babysitter. And I'm like, I don't know if I like this guy enough to, like,
will
spend
you
money.
pay for my babysitter?
Right.
Then we can talk. Okay.
I started doing that.
Or can these
it's
kids
weird.
come and you bring your
Right.
children? So I get that, girl. I get, like I said, everybody is mommy. If I'm separated from my husband, everybody is mommy's friend until I got a ring.
Right. Yeah. It's always like, yeah. I
Yeah.
brought guys around the kids, but as friends,
Okay.
never.
That's all they need to know. That's mommy's friend. That is it. That is all. Okay.
Exactly.
And no, you ain't spending the night. Go get your shit. Go.
Yep. No, that's true.
But no, I want to ask you, like, how do you feel about your baby daddy hosting the show Cheaters?
Great. Perfect for him.
He know how to catch him, right?
No, he's a good host. I watched a couple of episodes and it's funny. I actually laughed my ass off. He's a good host. I like it. And I think was the perfect fit, actually. I mean,
You don't think it's a bit hypocritical though?
yeah, but at the same time, he'd be telling them, he'd be telling the cheater, like he knows best, and I guess he can find a cheater better than anyone else. So,
Right.
yeah, I thought
It takes one to know one. So what can we expect? I know you got the book. I told you the other women need a podcast. What you got coming up?
So I always, my first thing is always music. I drop music every year. So I recently dropped Black Buddafly, the group I started in, me and my sister. This is just me and my twin sister. And we just dropped the album called Black Buddafly 2020 because it came out in November last year. And we're just promoting that. I do have a couple shows. My first show this year is in LA on the 23rd. And I just want to keep promoting my music and kind of growing my audience. And I'm also starting to, I started working on new stuff. So literally, that's all I do every year. Like, what am I going to put out this year? Is it going to be an album? Is it going to be a single? I also worked on a project with Life Jennings. It's an EP that we wrote together. He wrote most of it, but I was in Atlanta last year and we worked on a few songs. We're going to drop that this year. And then I have another book out, My Dishes and More. It's a lifestyle book for women because, I'm all into the fitness and the self-care.
Yeah, I saw that. You be doing yoga and stuff and Pilates.
Yoga and working out and eating good, taking care of yourself, because that's what helped me kind of regain my own happiness without having to have a man. Because, I've literally been single all these years. And so it's just my lifestyle that I encourage women to follow that always ask me how I do it all. So it's called My Dishes and More. It's spelled M-I, Dishes and More, and it's on Amazon. So those two books I'm promoting, and
we'll put the links below so that people can check it out, especially if you are other woman that's a wino. No judgment over here, okay? Unless you're ready to talk and tell your business. Yes, the link is below so that you can reach out and support Amina. But thank you so much for being so open. I could tell like you are just a breath of fresh air, and I appreciate your positivity and for being honest. So thank you.
Thank you. Always. That's always what I like to call myself. At least I'm real, even though people may not like what I've done in the past, but I always kept it real.
I don't believe that you don't like to talk though, because you talked your ass.
Oh my God, I did talk a lot today, didn't I?
Wait till you see. No, that's good though. Don't nobody want nobody interviewing name talking. No, that's good. That's good. So no, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I wish you nothing but the best. Take care of those babies, and keep putting yourself first.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we gotta go. Bye.